Viewers, this is Dr. Qamar Cheema, and I'm hopeful and I'm sure you will be doing great. Well, first of all, I would ask you to please do subscribe my new YouTube channel, The New Word with Dr. Cheema. This channel is primarily for commentary interviews only in English language. So today's topic is very interesting, and that is of the Prime Minister Modi's visit to the UAE. This is very interesting to gauge and measure that PM Modi is in UAE after this entire Muslim world stood against India on this incident of Nupur Sharma when she made comments about the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and then the Qataris, Kuwaitis, Saudis, and the others asked the Indian authorities either to apologize or they did demolish the Indian ambassadors in host countries. So after that, this visit of Prime Minister Modi is in UAE, and Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan was himself at the airport to receive him. And I think Prime Minister Modi is also there for condolences as well about the previous president. So it seems that the UAE and India relations are not being viewed from the lens of the religion. So I think this is a very clear message for the Pakistani authorities here that largely the Pakistani politicians and authorities believe that we should look the Muslim world from the lens of the religion. But if and we have been looking Muslim world, UAE, Saudis, and the other Arab states, and many other Muslim states from the lens of the religion, and we have been selling basically religion for the last 75 years. But it seems that India, which is becoming one of the largest partners of UAE, because by 2030 the Indian authorities and the UAE are going to be have a bilateral trade of $100 billion, and I think they have worked for the free trade agreement between both the countries. And I think the UAE is also helping Pakistan to have backdoor talks with the Indians. So with more good ties between United Arab Emirates and India, it's good for Pakistan because there is a likely possibility that some backdoor channels can work. But I will not stop here, and I will put some more questions here and try to give answers for that. Well, since the Indian Prime Minister Modi is in UAE and is meeting with the Emiratis, but what the Pakistanis are doing in UAE is that Pakistan has asked for a fresh request of multi-billion-dollar loans from the UAE. And in return, the UAE has asked to buy minority shares in publicly listed government-owned companies at a negotiated price. Most recently, if you remember, that the Chinese decision to for a rollover of $2 billion Pakistani debt, which was to mature this month, and that was a kind of a relief, and then again a fresh transfer of $2.3 billion. Which happened last year, and because of that, Pakistan's economy got little relief. So now the Emiratis are thinking that we can give loan to Pakistan, but in return they will get 10 to 12% shares in the government-owned companies which are listed in the stock exchange. This proposal has come, and obviously this proposal is obviously Pakistan may not say no to this in case Pakistan believes that we have to get more closer with the Emiratis in getting the money. And remember, the Emiratis are very smart. They made such an offer to the Egypt where they invested $2 billion. Through where they bought the shares in the state-owned companies, I think this year. And at the same time, the UAE authorities bought some of the shares and stakes in Egyptian companies through Abu Dhabi Development Holding. So I think if one will look that Pakistan can only get money from the Middle Eastern countries, particularly Saudi Arabia and UAE, in return if Pakistan can give something to them. At the same time, there is another development that Pakistan is asking for. Pakistan needs some 27.5 trillion rupees to run the entire system, and for that matter, the finance minister has put this list into the National Assembly that we need this money, and for that matter, this is a very big money, obviously, having 27.5 trillion, because much of the money is to go for the repayment of the principal loans, and I think somewhere around 440 billion will go to some of the debts as well. So, whereas uh, maybe out of this 27.5 trillion, 1.1 trillion will go to the original budget, which was approved in June this month. So I think this is a very big money which Pakistan is going to buy. But at the same time, Pakistan has signed a pact with the France, and that pact is of 107 billion debt suspension. 107 million debt suspension, uh, and remember, France is the same country to whom the Islamists in Pakistan were lambasting, lamenting, and I remember the sitting Pakistani president asked the French authorities that why you are targeting the Muslims in France, and right now Pakistan is unable to pay to the French authorities, and Pakistan has signed an agreement for the suspension of the loans, which was about 107 million under the G20 debt service suspension initiative. And for that matter, the French president in Islamabad and people from the Economic Affairs Division, they have signed an agreement for that matter. So, and the government of Pakistan has already signed an agreement of 260 million US dollars with the France. With the France, this agreement has already been signed. Other than this 107 million dollars, so if I would say that Pakistan is in a fix, is between a rock and a hard place. On one hand, its diplomacy is facing challenges, the national security issues are rising, financial problems are rising, even getting loans is becoming difficult. So, for that matter, now the friendly countries who have been engaging with Pakistan, they are asking that all that loans which Pakistan should get in return, Pakistan should give shares of some of their companies. So, I think that is a very that is a fair deal in reality, because that's the only way the countries can give money, because the countries believe that who will return the money, because putting just money into the state bank and asking that we will return in so and so time, that doesn't make a sense. But if the shares of those companies are given, I think that will be great. So it was Pakistan's long desire to that much of the money which Pakistan is getting should be suspending. So in reality, if you remember, I think this year the Japan also suspended Pakistan's loan. I think I don't remember the exact figure, but that is something which was not good. But Pakistan has signed such agreements with the Japanese authorities, with the Swiss authorities, with the Saudi Fund for Development, for the suspension of the debt servicing. So, and many countries, I heard that they have this policy. Particularly, Japan had this policy that if a country just asks for writing off the loan, then in reality, the other country cannot ask for a loan again. From So, I think the Pakistan has agreed to that. If my memory serves me well, but. These developments are very much important to understand that if the Indian Prime Minister is in UAE, he's there for a business. If the Pakistani Prime Minister is there in UAE or in the Arab world, that is because of getting loans, and that is because of getting asking for the loans. So this is something very discouraging trend. And we have realized that the Muslim world will not listen Pakistan because we are a Muslim country. The Muslim world will only listen us because we are a partner for peace, we are a partner for growth, we are a partner for development, and that is what is important. And I think this is where the Pakistani authorities must pay attention. That just selling religion, talking on Kashmir, getting support on for the national security issues may not gel or bind our relationship with the Muslim countries. The countries who are serious, who have money, who have capacity to engage, only they will have space, and they will be engaged. So if we do not change this trend, we just do not keep our promises of not paying back loans, definitely things will not be in our favor. And I'm sure this visit of the Indian Prime Minister in UAE won't have any trouble for Pakistan, because largely because I have seen that the Indian National Security Advisor is also with him. But at the end of the day, Pakistan's a military establishment which has very close ties with the Emiratis and the Saudis, may benefit if there is an India UAE ties. And remember, there was a time when we used to be happy when in Great Britain and the Americans had to used to have influence over India. But right now, I think that is not the case. But Emiratis and the Saudis have an influence because India wants to get closer to the Muslim world. India believes that India needs that space in the Muslim world, so that to balance Pakistan and the Muslim world. So these are some emerging trends which I'm sure many people are observing, and which I'm sure are going to make an impact for Pakistan and for the region. Uh, but Pakistan must look into this very deeply and carefully. That getting loans right off and asking for the suspension of the loans may not serve us. The only thing that can serve us is to have a bilateral relation on equal terms. And I think this is where Pakistan should vie for, and this is where Pakistan should struggle. Thank you very much.